Welcome back to Tune to Life, and today we're going to be talking about why is that people turn to religion when the world goes into a state of
It's
flux.
flux, yeah, definitely.
And right now, I'm sure most people can agree, the world is in a very strange place
Place is.
with so many things going on at the same time,
Mm,
so much unrest, so much confusion. People are turning to religions.
yeah.
Now, I'm not religious in any way, shape, or form um, at all. I don't know if you are
No,
religious.
no, not in that type of way.
Yeah,
No,
I'm
no,
not.
no,
I'm
no.
not religious. I'm
Brought,
not
brought up in
setting
brought
up
up in a
dogma.
sense, but yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I was raised in that,
yeah,
but I'm not
not
religious because
yeah,
I had too many questions
yeah.
that didn't have the answers to them.
I agree with
But
that.
I
Yeah.
do believe in something bigger than myself, if you want to call it that. But I'm just not religious.
Mm,
But it's interesting why people turn to it.
mm,
And the reason why we want to go into that is because there's so much, we're in the UK, if you're watching from elsewhere, and there is a big move in Europe about this concern about the rise of Islam or whatever,
yeah.
and so on. Doesn't concern me
Mm,
personally
yeah.
at all, in any way, shape, or form. Doesn't bother me, doesn't concern me, whatever.
Mm.
But there are people who are
Yeah,
concerned
that's right.
about it.
Yeah, they are.
And some of them seem to be certainly on the far right
Mm,
would say, okay, listen, Europe and the UK
UK, yeah.
is a Christian thing, but then I have to ask myself a question: what do you mean it's Christian really?
Mm.
Because is it Christian by name
Name,
or by nature?
nature. That's true. It's
You
interesting,
see,
isn't
and
it?
there's
Yeah.
no nature going on in
Yeah.
terms of Christianity within the bigger sense of the word.
Mm.
Of course, there are people who are Christians who follow it devoutly. I'm not talking about people like that. I'm talking about the people who are just saying it to fit their own narrative.
Narratives.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I'm a little bit,
Yeah.
it raises questions for
Still,
me.
yeah. Yeah.
But on a bigger stance, and rather than getting political, those are two things you don't talk about: is religion and politics, which we're doing. But the point is that why is that people turn to
Two
religion? That's what
religions.
we wanted to really quite ask.
Mm.
When, on a personal level, when they hit adversity, and when there is a national sort of crisis or
Crisis.
problems
Yeah.
or international world
Mm.
issues. And the reason why I say that is because there's always going to be
Be problems. Yeah, of
problems,
course there is.
wars,
Yeah.
and religions are always
Yeah,
there.
that's right. That's right. Yep.
So why are people seeming to turn to that when there's problems? And then when the problem dissipates, they sort of, their interest in religion
It's
dissipates
always getting
too.
there. That's right. Very
It
much so.
wanes.
Yeah, it
So it's
does.
like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
quite funny.
Yeah.
So we wanted to look at that and explore that a little bit. With our sort of layman's understanding of it, really,
Mm.
more than anything else. Just explore it because it's just an interesting topic. Because right now, we looked at sort of religions that are
Religions.
fastest growing, and through the world,
Mm.
fastest growing religion, and that's by birth rate, really, more than anything else.
Itself. That's right.
It is Islam
Yeah.
because there's 3.1 children per Muslim woman.
Woman. Yeah.
Women, yeah. So every one Muslim woman, they
Mm.
can have about 3.1 kids.
Kids. Yeah.
So just based on that
Woman.
alone,
Yeah.
it's gonna
It's
go
gonna
by
increase.
2060. There's gonna be, I'm not sure what they
Yeah.
say it doesn't here.
I
Yeah,
think changing the
it
landscape.
didn't
I
say
think.
exactly what the amount will
Yeah.
be, but there's gonna be
Yeah.
a 70% increase from where we are now.
Now.
Um,
And I think I saw some Pew it's a Pew research that said that in 40 years time, the same kind of rough kind of time scale, that actually the landscape was going to change from Christianity being the dominant
mm.
to then obviously Islam obviously
Well,
taking.
well, not necessarily.
Mm,
Not necessarily. That's an interesting
yeah, yeah,
point. Not
yeah,
necessarily because
yeah.
there's projections here
Mm,
that says that even though Christianity, in the same time period by 2060, there'll be a 34% increase, it will still be will remain the largest group by 2.9 billion by 2050.
or the Christianity. Okay.
But the geographical focus will shift to Africa. Yeah. So it's all about where people are in
Oh,
those
okay.
areas.
Serious. Okay.
Yeah. And so on. But irrespective of all
Yeah,
of
yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah,
irrespective of all of that, we're not going to get lost in
yeah,
that
yeah,
because
yeah.
projections can be
They're wrong.
wrong.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, they can be wrong. They often are.
Mm,
How do we know what's going to happen? There
mm,
could be a major war or a major problem
mm.
that would change that anyway.
Anyway, yeah.
But if things don't change
Mm,
from today
mm,
on, that's what will happen. The
uh,
trajectory will be
yeah.
that.
And one interesting factor that I saw was that I read that in 1990 to 2000, approximately 12.5 million people converted from Christianity to Islam.
Yeah, and that takes us partly
Uh,
into another another part in terms of why
mm,
people do
do
that.
that, yeah.
And based on what I'm looking at here,
Mm,
um, we have really, the idea for a search of meaning and stability.
ability, yeah.
And, you know, when you look at this, right, I'm not sure how many sectors within Islam that there are.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have a little look while we're doing this and
Yeah.
come back. I don't know if you're connected.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Yeah,
If
let's have a
you,
look. Yes.
but
How many
how
sectors?
many are? But when you look at it, I'll just
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
about this.
yeah, yeah.
There are 45,000 Christian denominations around the world.
That's
45,000.
crazy, isn't it?
Allegedly. I haven't counted, but 45,000. But there are a lot. Put it that way, there are a lot.
That's a hell of a
So
lot.
you can choose what you want based on how you feel. I'll try this one, maybe I'll try that one, whatever it is. So my point is Christianity will offer,
That's a
far greater degree of flexibility for some.
okay.
And what people are looking for now is boundaries,
Yeah.
because there are some people who don't like the idea of the way how secularism and the growth of LGBTQ and all these other issues,
Jeez.
they don't sit well with that.
Yeah.
They don't feel comfortable in that world. That world is not their vision of how the world should be for
Mm.
some people. And because of that, they're turning to religions that
Just, yeah.
have take a different
Just
stance, a
dance.
different
Yeah.
position on
Yeah.
those things,
Yeah.
right? And they want their own sense of boundaries.
Boundaries.
So that is why, for some people,
Mm.
they're moving into,
Yeah.
say, Islam or into more stricter types of
Good
doctrines,
questions. Yeah.
Christian doctrines.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's where they're moving, why they're
yeah.
moving into it.
Into it. Yeah.
And again, but my point is
Okay,
this:
go on. Go on.
are people moving toward? Some people always move to a religion because they feel a sense, something spiritual,
Yeah.
where they move that direction, which I'm not questioning that. That's
Mm.
fine.
Mm.
But some people seem to be moving because it doesn't fit their political
Oh, I
or
see. Yeah.
social or
Social
political
political beliefs.
beliefs.
Okay.
So they move towards Christianity because
Unity.
they want a sense of belonging, comfort,
Yeah.
and understanding. Um, and is that the right reason?
Isn't. Yeah.
Is my
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Is that the right reason for
Yeah.
them to be moving
Into
into a
religion.
religion based on their political stance and
Yeah.
in issue, which is what we talk about, like say the far right is moving. We're a Christian country, we're doing this,
Yeah.
and we're gonna fly the flag for Christianity.
Unity. Yeah.
Really? And they don't actually believe in, and they
Any of
might believe in God, but
yeah,
they have no Christian values. If you ask them
yeah.
about anything in the Bible or anything, they couldn't tell you. They really couldn't tell you. So
Yeah.
what is that about?
About yeah.
What are they finding the fact for? They want
Mm,
some sort of, you know, Christianity,
mm,
Islam
mm,
standoff.
yeah.
I mean, what's all that about?
About no.
But then again, you see the other side, you have extremists,
Mm,
yeah, on Islam,
mm,
who will push
yeah.
another narrative
Motive.
which is not conducive to the understanding of
Of
Islam.
Islam. That's
So
right.
you have these two
Yeah.
dialectically opposed
Extremes.
uh, um, camps
Yeah.
that just want to bang
Bang
heads with
heads.
each
Yeah.
other, and the people in the middle of like,
Yeah. This is
what?
this. Yeah.
So this is and people are moving into
Mm,
these positions, which doesn't really make any sense
makes
why they're
sense.
doing that,
Yeah.
But again, there are other people who don't have a, you know, a sort of hugely twisted view,
Mm.
but join it because they maybe go into it to religion because they're lonely and whatever. Of course, there are lots of other
Other
reasons
reasons,
why
yeah,
people
yeah,
join. I must make that really clear.
clear, yeah,
There are lots of reasons why people will turn to religion.
yeah. It's
Spiritual,
yeah,
spiritual, a connection with God,
yeah, yeah,
all
yeah.
those things are reason why people turn to. And I'm not really discussing people like yourselves
Those,
who are
yeah.
in that situation that turn to God for a spiritual reason and have a truth belief
Mm,
and follow the way it should be followed. But I'm talking about, I suppose, hypocrites.
okay.
People who are hypocritical.
Critical, yeah.
Whoops, knocking the mic. People who are hypocritical that follow a belief system
Mm,
but don't really believe in
leave it,
it.
yeah.
That makes sense,
Mm,
And you find some people who follow those religions can be the most hateful,
mm,
don't like anybody or
anything,
anything,
yeah.
who are sexist,
Phobic,
homophobic,
yeah.
racist, whatever, and then going to church or going to a mosque or going wherever it is
Yeah.
that they go, and they have these beliefs
Mm,
that they hold on to
yeah.
alongside. And there are some people, again, which is quite funny, but a lot of people may have felt lost in their lives, may not have been very nice, to people,
Mm.
and looking for a ticket to heaven. Yeah,
Fast track.
yeah, but they've not worked
On
on
themselves, yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
They're not challenged themselves about
Mm,
how they are.
mm,
They just go into church or places and try to do what they
feel.
feel is good to their fellow members
Yeah.
and feel that's going to buy them a ticket to
Mm,
paradise. And that is awful because you know the reason why I say this?
mm.
Because when they come out of their church or their mosque or their synagogue or wherever
As
it
it is,
is,
yeah.
then they're just the same
The
way as they
person
were before
was
they
it
went
coming
in.
down, that's it,
Before they
yeah.
went in.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not very nice people. Some
Mm,
people are not very nice, not very kind,
kind.
not thoughtful.
Yeah.
Still look at you and go, like, look you whatever if you're black or this or gay or whatever it is, looking or whatever, see, turn nose up at you. So it's really crazy. It's really crazy. But yeah, without getting stuck on that, because I'll be my bonnet on that bit there. But what have you got? Have you come up with anything?
Yeah, no, no, no. So basically, there are um, 73 sects within Islam.
Right. Okay. So there's 73 sects in Islam.
Yeah.
So we're not going to list
This,
them. We're
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah,
listing
yeah, no,
them.
no, yeah, no.
So you have 45,000
5,000
compared to
73.
73. All right, known or what are
Mm,
understood sects
mm.
within as opposed to denominations in there. But you've got something that's going to fit
Yeah, 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 yeah,
whichever way.
yeah.
So yeah, you can I suppose draw what conclusions you
Mm,
want to draw from that.
mm.
But but yeah, I think the whole idea of it is there's a sense of belonging
Oh, yeah, definitely.
with this whole thing and fostering a sense of belonging and mutual support and so on. There's
I,
cultural and familial influence, well,
yeah.
people being familiar.
Yeah, and it's funny actually because I was talking to a couple of friends. I was talking about the podcast, and I was saying, now and a couple of guys that I know that actually are Islam and
Muslim, you mean?
Muslim, but they've made the kind of conversion, just probably say a few years ago, as to speak,
Into
into
Islam.
into Islam. And one of the things that they said is that for them was about actually when they
Mm.
looked at Christianity, they felt that actually that it wasn't structured enough. That um, so in terms of the kind of the ideologies of it, that it didn't. What it
Well,
said one
the
thing,
reason being,
yeah,
remember, that's an interesting reason why they said that. Because
yeah,
remember, there are
the thousands.
45,000. They didn't get the right one. They didn't get the right one because what all people see
Yeah,
is your Pentecostals, your
so
Baptists,
just yeah,
your Church of England,
England,
your Catholic. Those are the major ones you
for V,
see.
yeah,
But there are so many other denominations. Some that
nations.
are quite strict. There are some that I know they don't allow you to wear that women can't wear makeup.
Oh wow,
Yeah, and women shouldn't dress in wear trousers. Should wear dresses. Yeah,
wow.
and some that are very much centered on old ideology.
Geez.
I always call it medieval stuff. Right? That's what I
Oh
call it.
wow.
But some are like that. but obviously your friends
Yeah,
didn't know that.
yeah.
But I think that, yeah, in terms of just reaching out and seeing
Mm.
common types of, you know, Islam or types of
Yeah, yeah.
Christianity, people would jump on that because, you know, men are supposed to do what men are supposed to
To do,
do.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Women are supposed to do what women are
Women are
supposed to
supposed
do.
to do,
So
yeah.
it's clear, like
They've clear
clear
defined roles, isn't there?
divine
Yeah,
roles
there
in
are
that
clear defined roles
if
in
you
that.
follow that.
That's yeah.
But
Yeah.
there is a cost to that.
Mm.
There is a cost to it. Yeah.
Mm.
Because there are lots of things that are seen as haram, that you
The
think you
things you don't
can't
do,
do.
yes, yeah.
And some things you think can't do, you may question and say, well, why
Well,
not?
yeah,
And maybe someone can't fully explain it to you and say, no, you just can't do it.
do it.
It's haram because da 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 da. But if you're willing to accept the restrictions,
Restrictions, yeah.
then it will provide that safety net,
Yeah.
that boundary,
Mm.
and people feel safe in that.
Safer, yeah. No, definitely.
Feel safe and quite happy in
Mm.
that. So, you know, to whatever makes you feel
Feel.
good is what I'm saying. If you
Mm.
that's for you,
Yeah.
that's for you. But my contentious point
Mm.
that I want to talk about, this thing,
Yeah, yeah.
is why people turn to it.
To
Look,
religion.
so look, this is the problem I have. Some people may have been a nasty person before.
Cool. Okay.
Things haven't gone well with them.
Mm.
They join in a religion, whatever that
Yeah,
religion
yeah,
is,
yeah.
and they're still nasty.
Yeah.
But then they sort of pretend to be
Appease themselves while they're
while
in the
they're in the
church.
church or mosque, whatever it is, and they come out and they're just the same
Same way,
way
yeah, yeah.
as they were when they're outside. That
Yeah.
I don't get. And then there's the other side.
Mm.
Then there's another set of people
Yeah.
who will mess up their lives, not doing too well, join a religious movement or
Mm.
group, right? And haven't worked on themselves
Look looked
again,
in, yeah, yeah.
and then will, I don't know, take the rubbish out for next door neighbor or do certain things, but they still have that
Then that
aggrieved
grieving.
sense of whatever it's
Mm.
inside of them,
Mm.
hoping to buy a ticket
Take it.
to heaven.
Mm.
But they haven't changed intrinsically, they're still the same person.
Yeah.
But they just learn a few more words, you know, from the Quran or from the Bible or from
Mm.
the whatever it might be, you know,
Mm.
whatever. So to me, I don't really get that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you're mentioning something about the world wars and what happened in university, what happened in the First World War
Well, yeah. I mean,
in the UK.
in UK. I mean, at that time, I think it was deemed as about 30 million church goers in that time, and
In the
that's Church of
First World
England
War.
in the First World War, Church of England.
Yeah. And that was when world was starting to gather
Get the
pace,
pace.
momentum, people went into church
That's right.
more so, became really popular.
That's right. And
Yeah.
then that
And
diminished.
then when the war was
Stop.
over,
It
they
declined.
dipped.
Yeah.
Big decline. All right, okay, so people came out, thought, don't need that anymore. I'm all right. I don't need to plan for heaven just yet. All right. So there's a big difference
Difference.
or distinctive difference
Yeah.
again in the Second World War. What happened there?
Well, the joke of it is in the Second World War, there wasn't the numbers actually in terms of those that actually were going into religion, which is quite strange actually. I
Yeah,
kind of thought,
leading up to the Second World War,
yeah,
people didn't feel the need to go
they're in
into
there,
church and probably didn't want
and
more to
and I
survive.
think there's a couple other factors. So, for example, they said that there were fewer scholars. There were 1 million fewer scholars that were able to obviously deliver the masses, as to speak,
Mm.
in terms of that disruption factor, in terms of bombs coming in. Obviously, you can't go to church if the bombs are coming
Yeah,
in,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
as to speak. And also, they said that
Mm.
competition in terms of let's talk
Mm.
about cinema and BBC broadcasting. So those
Yeah,
things
those
are
things
out.
came
They
in
came in there. So
into
therefore,
play.
people then perhaps
Well, it's a
listen.
time for distraction and so
Yeah,
on.
yeah. So
Yeah,
so those things
yeah.
all kind of playing a part, which is
Mm.
I think kind of quite interesting.
Yeah. So it's a big difference there. Big difference. But through the ages, I think that, you know, I think as we look on through in the Western world, because what we have to talk about Western world rather than the whole,
The whole world,
world everywhere
yeah.
else. In the Western world, you know, I mean, I have my issues with religion anyway. That's just me. I think people get very touchy, very angry, very sort of medieval And I say that
Yeah, yeah,
where it
yeah.
becomes violent
Mm.
when it comes to religions. People just don't like you messing or talking or challenging their religion at all.
Yeah.
And that
Mm.
seems to be contradictory
Yeah.
to me. But anyway, that's the way how the world is. Um, and I think that why people turn to it during a period of
Just
adversity
the.
and then run away afterwards
Mm.
is quite interesting. And if, in this is just my humble opinion,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
someone can answer this, if if religions were working, really working, and with so many people involved in religions
Things.
around the world, I mean, 45,000 different
Yeah,
types of
yeah,
Christianity, or
yeah.
at least
Yeah,
loads.
yeah,
If that number is incorrect, fair enough.
yeah, yeah.
But there are lots of
Loads. Yeah, yeah.
denominations of Christianity. Something to fit somebody.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah?
yeah.
Something for everybody.
Take your pick.
So yeah, something for everybody, right? And again, with Islam and so on, wherever it
Mm.
is, then why isn't the world a slightly better place? With so many people, billions of people around the world
World, yeah.
who have religious belief. And the idea is supposed to be sharing, helping, caring, being a better person. Why isn't the world in a better place? Why aren't they stamping out the issues of,
Inequality.
sexism,
Yeah, racism.
racism,
Yeah,
this? Why is stamping and fighting? No, it still exists
lists. Yeah,
and is growing in popularity.
issue.
These isms, if you like.
Yeah,
See what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So to me, I don't see it as the answer.
Think so.
Isn't the answer at all.
Mm.
My personal belief is about the work you do on yourself.
Self. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's like I suppose it's a bit like having a stinky body and spraying yourself with perfume so people can smell the perfume, but under you can smell that underlying
A musk.
BO underneath. You can smell that stinky BO underneath it. I think sometimes it is. I think sometimes people haven't done the work on themselves, haven't really challenged their beliefs so that what they think and how they are, and then go into a religion
Religion.
thinking that they can hide in that
Let
and
that
everything
do.
be
Yeah.
okay. And they still have
These
these
ideas and stuff.
yeah, which is not great.
Yeah, you know
There's
what?
some of these ideas, and no, it's
Uh,
not good.
I think that's a particular type of individual. I think that is really
I think that's a
anointed
lot. I think it's a lot.
to
I think there are a lot of people like that.
yeah.
I think if I were wrong,
Mm.
then the world would be a better
Better
place
place.
given the
Yeah.
amount of people that
Are
follow
in
religion.
religion. Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of people,
Mm.
I don't know whether it's the majority or whether, I
Mm.
don't know. I don't know. I don't care. But the point is, I think there are a lot of people who, a significant amount
Mm.
at least, that don't do the work on themselves
Those.
and aren't intrinsically
The
really that great
mm.
as a human being.
Being. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. As a result,
Yeah.
they still will hate or dislike
Like.
people. And I don't really like the idea
Mm.
that a religion will put itself in a position where it will say, oh, we are the chosen
Those
ones and
ones.
all you.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really get that. I don't really get that. How he said, we're the chosen ones. Yeah. I mean, lots of do. I mean,
Yeah. They do.
Judaism does it,
Yeah.
Islam does it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, Christianity doesn't really, well, it does. It says if you don't go with Jesus, you're not
Yeah. Yeah.
saved.
Yeah.
So they all do it,
Yeah, of course
really.
they all do it. Of course
And,
they
and
do.
with
Yeah.
all in Buddhism,
Yeah,
they all
yeah, yeah,
do it.
yeah.
And I don't really get that
Mm.
because the reality is this: if you go back far enough, none of those religions would have existed. Yeah, few thousand years, 3,000 years, none of them were there. None of them. None of them were there. Yeah. So what existed before then? So what? Everyone was doomed before? Was everybody doomed? It doesn't make sense. There are a lot of things that don't make
Makes sense.
sense. But then people will have their beliefs. I'm not knocking people's beliefs. You believe what you want to believe. That's fine. I'm not getting into that. But my point is that I just wonder why each one will say, do it this way. This is the only way. This is the best way.
You know what? I think that finding people that are say for example they've adopted a particular religious belief, but I've spoken to people that are kind of more open, if that makes sense, are
Mm,
more open-minded. So, for example, you're having a conversation with them, and yes, they're steeped in their religious beliefs, but they're also opened for the conversation and about something else or another religion, and so therefore aren't so fixed. And I
mm.
think for me personally, those individuals are a source of richness in terms of a conversation, and they're more open about stuff as opposed to shutting down things because of the fact of no, this is how I believe it, this is how it is, and that's it, and done. Personally.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I mean, there's so many factors with this, and I'm not going to sound like a preacher. I'm gonna sound like a
get on
preacher.
get on the
You got
pulpit.
you're going to pulpit, yeah. But I just wonder that. I just wonder that because with ordinary people, I mean, I've found in my experience in life,
Mm,
I've met some people who would call themselves all different types of people. Actually, I've met loads of different types of people in my life, cross paths with them. And I've met some people who are, Muslim,
mm,
and you know, I've met people who are really nice,
yeah, yeah,
lovely
yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, a persons,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
should say,
yes, yes,
rather than people.
people, yeah, yeah,
Sorry, I won't go into that. That sounds condescending.
yeah.
But I met the people, the person that I met was really nice, and I met another person who was Muslim
Mm,
that wasn't
yeah,
very
yeah, yeah,
nice.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Did feel like as though,
yeah,
who are you? I don't
yeah,
want
yeah,
to talk
yeah,
to you.
yeah.
You're black.
Mm,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
keep away, whatever it is. And it didn't make sense to me.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But then I've spoken to somebody who is
Christian,
Christian
yeah, 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 yeah.
and then racist
Did
at the
that
same
I
time,
know, yeah. Pick and
right?
mix, innit?
Yeah, Christian and
This is
racist at the same
I
time. I
know, I
mean,
know.
proper.
Yeah.
So, and then people say, "Oh, but that person's not Christian." How can you? There are loads of
That's
people in
Christian, yes,
Christianity like that.
yeah, yeah,
And then again, there are people who maybe who follow Judaism, whatever it is. Same way again,
yeah,
will look at you as if you've just landed. You're an alien lander from space. Or get frightened of you. And so, to me, religion is it's a funny thing.
no,
Why people join it, but they don't do any work on
themselves,
themselves.
yeah.
They just preach about what they should be doing out
Mm,
there and how the world is going to pop, but no work's on
they've
an
done it
individual.
themselves, yeah,
No work's on an individual to test or challenge themselves about their own feeling, believing, whatever. But that's not the matter. But
yeah, yeah,
I think another thing is
yeah, yeah.
this:
Go on, yeah, go on.
is that when people leave from one country to another,
Mm,
and this is quite interesting, I found that people will intensify their cultural behaviors in somewhere different as a form of safety reaction. It's reason why I say this because you'll have people. I find
mm.
that because I've done quite a bit of traveling, I find that you will, and this is very interesting
Go on, go on.
as a human behavior.
Okay.
You let's say, just for example, yeah, you will leave from here.
Yeah.
You'll be here,
Mm,
and just random example, right? Don't want to pick on anybody, just random example. And you may meet, you be here in the UK, and you see Japanese people. They may not be so open to talk to you.
yeah.
They may not be open to talk to you at all. Very little interaction.
Mm,
Maybe unless on a one-to-one basis, you meet them
yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
in an educational vicinity, or you meet them somewhere where there's a common reason.
Different setting,
But
yeah.
yeah, yeah. But then, if you go to Japan, you meet people more
Be open,
open.
yeah,
They'll
yeah,
talk
yeah,
to
yeah,
you. Some
yeah,
people won't like,
yeah.
but they're more open to it.
Yeah,
So you go to the country,
yeah.
people are much far more
Open,
open.
that's good, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, if here
Mm,
I went to I met people from Southeast Asia,
okay, yeah.
different type of people, and I won't say the most open
Open
people
people.
to chat
Yeah, yeah,
engage
yeah,
with,
yeah.
but go to Southeast Asia,
Different,
I made
different,
loads of friends,
different
chat
experience altogether.
different
Altogether,
experience
yeah, yeah, yeah. I hear that.
because
Yeah, yeah,
they
yeah,
it's really
yeah,
really
yeah, yeah,
interesting,
yeah.
really really interesting,
So you said
and
you're
mm,
going.
so you can go to the country,
Yeah,
you be here and see people here, and yes, you might be able to if you chat and
yeah,
whatever it is
yeah.
and so on. But when you go to their
Country.
country of origin,
Yeah.
you find people there are
Okay.
way more open,
Open. Okay.
way 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 more open.
So it's
than here. It's
okay.
very interesting.
Yeah. So it's important not to generalize based
Yeah,
upon what
yeah.
you have in
What
that
you
first
have here,
experience. Okay.
because I think
Interesting.
that
Yeah.
migration
Mm.
affects people's view and behavior.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
what I think.
Okay.
It affects people's view and behavior. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same way when you. I mean, this is just a fact.
Yeah.
Black people that are here,
Mm.
that live here, born here, are different to black people, say in Africa, in the
Oh,
Caribbean.
definitely.
Completely
Oh,
different.
definitely.
Completely different.
Definitely.
Completely different.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting
Mm.
element in its own right.
Right.
And I think that migration has an effect on people when they arrive in different countries.
Countries.
It definitely has effect,
Mm.
and not a good one.
Mm.
And I think that is, I think to some degree, when you migrate, you have to harden up. You people will tend to close
Ranks,
ranks
yeah, and be more
together,
isolated. Yeah, yeah.
more
It's just,
more
yeah.
you know more. I don't know.
You say self-protective or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I
Kind of
think
like,
so. I
yeah,
think
yeah,
so. I
yeah,
would say
yeah,
that. I would say to a
yeah,
degree,
yeah,
and not so open.
yeah.
And I think if religion plays a
Part
part in that, then they may look towards religion for a point of safety.
safety. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Comfort. Yeah, I can
So
see that.
that could actually affect how
Mm.
people see things as well. So that's an interesting one.
Yeah, that is actually interesting.
Because I mean, you hear that here there is a you need to turn that thing off here. Go into it and turn it off.
I thought I did actually, but
Yeah,
sorry.
but the thing is, I think that people who travel will see that, and then people who will see that is different in that
Mm.
country. People much more chilled,
Yeah, yeah.
and people will always remark that. I think that's why places like, say, for example, Dubai, which is a Muslim country,
Country. Yeah,
people are flocking there.
yeah, yeah.
Because it's different to the people that we experience over
Over
here,
here, that's quite
where there's more
interesting.
closed-mindedness here to some extent, as opposed to there. Very different experience.
Yeah, good
Very,
point
very different
actually.
experience. And it's interesting to hear that, for example, people, very noted scholars in those countries like
Mm.
UAE and Saudi,
Yeah,
wherever it is, will say, well, look, some of the behaviors that exist in Europe and in UK from some of the Muslims here wouldn't be tolerated
tolerated over.
over there.
Wow. Okay. It's
And I
interesting.
think the reason why that is
Mm.
because when people migrate, they experience trauma and difficulties
Difficulties.
and
Okay. Yeah.
problems,
Yeah.
and therefore religion becomes a central point,
Point. Yeah.
and all those anxieties and
Yeah.
concerns and issues are, if you like,
Centralized, would you say,
no,
or
no, no,
no?
they're sort of amplified,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
yeah, and becomes a bit more extreme
Dream. Okay.
to some extent.
Mm.
That's what I believe. That's what I believe. So I think it's very, very different. But it's interesting how um, people do move towards religion
Religion. Yeah.
when there are difficulties,
And,
and I don't quite, and I understand it.
mm,
I understand why that is, but at the same time, it's quite sad that people don't do the work on
of
themselves. I keep
themselves.
saying this all the time. They
Mm.
don't do the work on themselves to make that difference.
Difference.
And I think if they had or they did do that, it would the world would be a better
The
place because there's
place.
so many people. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
millions and
The
millions
people's
and billions
billions
of
of
people
people.
who are in
No.
religions.
No. No. You're right. It would be a better place.
Yeah? You
Yeah.
see what I mean? So that is a whole different ball game. A whole different ball game altogether. And I think it is an interesting point. But I want to talk about a bit about sort of a guy called Emil Durkheim. Um, talks about religion
Mm.
as social cohesion,
Okay.
and he argued that religion. This is what he says. Durkheim argued that religion revolves around distinction between sacred things set apart from profane, ordinary day life. Yeah, something revered and ordinary life. He talked about the collective conscience. Religion embodies the collective conscience, shared beliefs and morals that reinforce social solidarity. For example, studying Australian Aboriginal clans, Durkheim showed that how totem worship was essentially worship of the clan itself, but they see themselves are not separate, but as one with what they're worshipping
Okay.
with. See, so that's an interesting one. And he talked about the functionalist perspective, religion serves critical societal functions, social cohesion, in terms of the rituals and ceremonies,
Mm.
and so on. That strengthens the group bonds in that sense, and mean making, expressions of life mysteries, death, suffering, whatever it is, what it means
It's,
to
yeah.
undergo those things. So he talks about when people have religion as part of their life and they face adversity, they're, if you like, strengthened.
Yes, yes, yes. As a
There's
result of
some
that, yeah, resilience. Yeah. Okay,
guidance
okay.
that helps them
Mm,
fight through that adversity, that
okay.
difficult, that challenge.
And does it help them make sense of it? You saying?
Um, I think something they will answer. There's always the idea of suffering and going through great pain, just as Jesus did, or just as
Yeah,
this
yeah,
did.
yeah, yeah.
And so people think, well, yeah, I'm going
Go
through what
through it.
he goes.
It's,
So if he could do it, or did it, then
yeah,
I can do it, and
yeah,
I'll do
yeah,
greater things,
yeah,
sort of thing.
yeah,
There's that sort
yeah,
of
yeah,
talk
yeah.
in it.
Okay, yeah.
Um, but so in that sense, it is useful
Mm,
why people get into
to
it.
it.
You know, and then you find people who are going through problems with the commonality. People who would join together,
Together
who are
to
facing this, and there's a common purpose
purpose. Yeah.
why it is. You can see why it's good. But then again, you've got, he talks about the Protestant ethic and the spirit of capitalism. So a guy called Weber argued that Calvinist beliefs um, fostered a work ethic that spurred modern capitalism. Um, Protestants viewed that financial success was signs of God's favor, encouraging rational accumulation and investment. You see, so that's what Protestants view.
Mm.
That it's good to make money. It's God's blessing you. Yeah, and you do hear that as well.
Yeah,
You do
yeah.
hear that, and there are some churches that collect great deal of money, tithe.
Tides,
Yeah,
yes.
which is phenomenal amounts of
People
money.
are getting paid now
Yeah, yeah,
at
yeah,
church.
yeah. So there's that as well. There's that as well. So it is a very lucrative um, venture, setting up a church these days, and that could be why the growth of them. You know, it's, maybe for some, exploiting the diversities of people,
Cool, yeah.
exploiting people's vulnerabilities, maybe, who knows? But certainly, it's not for me.
No.
It's not for me. I think that whatever the case may be, I think having to believe that there are too many questions. If you look at what the Bible's saying, yes, there are lots of great things in there. You can't throw the baby out with the bathwater, as they say. So lots of great stuff in there, but it's like a guidebook as to how we should be and
Be.
how we should
Yeah,
live.
yeah.
All these books, whether the Torah, whether
Uh,
the Quran, or
Quran,
whatever,
yeah, yeah.
they're all guidebooks as to how we should live and so on. But are they followed in a way that makes people better, as a huge, massive group? And the answer to that for me is no, because the world is still filled with conflict. They to some degree are not as tolerant with each other as they
Yeah.
could be. And that's not all,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
just
Some,
some.
yeah.
Yeah. And there are extremes in every group.
Mm.
And it's extremists in every group that are intolerant. You see? And then there's another group of people within. They've got the extremists. Forget about them. But you've got another groups of people in every religion who have their own prejudices, their own personal prejudices. Yeah, that is never tested, never tested, and that's a real problem. Their prejudices are never tested, and they end up in a situation where they will practice their own religion in a way which gives them a sense of superiority,
Mm.
and will tend to look down
On other
on other people,
people.
which is not great. So I think there are things there that I think people should examine. That's my personal
Mm.
opinion. To each their own. If they go into that, that's fine. But the only thing I would say is that you have to look at yourself. And if you're going through difficult times and you join it, do it for the right reason, not because you're going through a hard time. Do it for the right reason. If you feel the calling, if you feel that you're going to go down that road, think about it. How do you change yourself for the better? But a lot of people aren't looking to
I
change,
think
they're
that.
looking to just deal with the problem.
Mm,
You see, this is the thing. Just deal with the problem. No real work. Whereas I think that there are other systems out. I think whatever people do, because people go into other forms of belief systems, yeah?
yeah.
And people go into other, but they still don't do the work on themselves
Themselves, yeah.
to better themselves. And I think it's just the way the world
It
is.
is.
Could be part of human nature. Could be part of human nature.
Yeah, and I think it's always easy to do the easy things, if that makes sense. You know, we don't why do the difficult things that challenge us, that take us out of our comfort zone, that that we have to then really take a hard look at ourselves and think, right, okay, I need to really change this aspect of myself and actually be conscious about what I'm doing and the way I'm moving. Otherwise, I think why go through that pain and that
Mm.
torment that you
Yeah,
have to go through to be
yeah,
able to bring
yeah,
that up on board, I
yeah,
think.
yeah. I think it's a funny thing, and the reason why I say what I say because I am for me when I was growing up, I was grew up as a Catholic,
Okay, okay, okay.
and I remember the reason why I
Mm,
questioned it, and it's not the reason why I question these things because I always had a mind to think about things. Even when I
okay,
was younger, I always
okay.
used to think about different
Mm,
things.
mm.
And I remember going into church, and you have benches that you
Yeah,
go
yeah,
in and
yeah.
sit on, and you'd go in there, you sit on the bench, and people would be gathering.
Mm.
And I always know that the bench that I sat on would be one of the last benches to fill up.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there weren't very many black
People,
people
yeah. Okay.
in the church
Mm.
I went to. Right, there weren't very many, probably what, 4, 5,
Wow,
6.
okay, wow.
Yeah, but if I sat down on a bench somewhere,
Mm.
it would be one of the last benches to fill. One of the last. Not saying the last,
Yeah.
one of the last. All the others would start to fill, and then people would just say, "Oh, I'm going to sit here,"
Okay.
and I would look at it, and
But
I would look,
by default, okay, I get that.
I mean, I used to, when I was younger, I used to go to my parents,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah, yeah.
But when I got to about 11, 12, I'd go on my own sometimes.
Mm.
12, 13. And I start to realize this. And I looked. And the second thing I noticed is this there's a point where you have to turn around and give the sign of the peace to
Okay,
your
okay,
neighbor.
okay,
So you
okay.
turn and shake someone's hand,
Okay,
shake
okay,
someone's
okay,
hand, shake
okay,
someone's
okay,
hand,
yeah.
whatever. Yeah. And that used to happen.
Mm.
And people used to actively avoid
Seriously?
touching me. And I was a kid.
That's crazy.
Actively avoid trying to touch me. Wanted to shake my hand. Actively avoid. And I wasn't like a short kid. I was quite
Mm.
tall,
Okay.
13, 14, yeah, up to
Pronounced.
15. And
Perhaps you're too much of a
not
threat.
not 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 tall,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah,
for
yeah,
my
yeah,
age,
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah,
tall
yeah,
enough.
yeah.
And I thought, wow. I used to look at that and I said, I think, wow, wow. And I thought to myself, even in the church,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's
Them
racism.
in the place, yeah.
Even in the church. Because I wasn't going to buy, oh, maybe it's this or maybe it's that. No,
Mm.
I knew what it
Was,
was.
yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
a fool.
Yeah, you
It
was,
was in the era that I grew up
yeah, of
where
course.
racism was very overt. And I thought, wow, it made me question.
Mm.
And it's one of the reasons why I didn't go out, because I started asking questions. And then I went to the priest
Okay.
to ask a few questions.
Mm.
And he didn't want to even answer me. Did poo-pooed it, wasn't interested.
Oh.
So I thought, wow, this is interesting.
Mm.
So then I never went back.
Oh,
Thought,
and what, so, what age did you ask the priest then, you
I
reckon?
was about 15,
Oh, was it? Okay.
15. I think we were about 15. And once when I was about 16, I
Mm.
remember, I went to ask some questions. And the questions were really about, you know, the belief system and this and
Mm-hmm.
that. And obviously, I went to ask about something else. I can't remember what it was. It was a long time
Mm-hmm.
ago, and he just didn't want to answer the question. Didn't want to answer the question at all. And I thought, wow, that's really really interesting. Anyway, um, so I remember in that process that I became completely unenamored
Yeah, yeah,
with
but
the process.
it's just
But then for me, I took on a personal journey.
okay.
Personal journey was do research
Virgin.
about the whole thing, religions or
Okay,
whatever it
okay,
is, and whatever.
okay,
And it made sense to me after I'd done my own personal research.
okay. But your position is
Where,
now.
where my position
Okay,
is,
right, okay.
why things are the way they are,
Mm,
etc., 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 etc.
mm,
So I won't get into that.
mm.
But it was very interesting. And because I think that you can throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, right, I'm not believing in a god or anything higher than me, da, 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 and throw everything away. But I didn't do that because I knew that the people,
Yes,
that
that's
when
what
they
it is.
were
But yeah,
people and they had their own
yes,
frailties, their
yes,
own vulnerabilities, their own prejudices, their own
mm-hmm.
this, that's who they are, but it doesn't necessarily represent what is. Yeah. So then I
Mm,
started doing when I did my research, everything
yeah.
started to make sense to me.
Actually, it's funny. Actually,
So
really, in essence, it's. I mean, it's good that you didn't really take it personally.
I did,
Well,
I did, but I want to find out.
but
I
yeah,
took it personally,
but
so I wanted to find out
find out.
because
Oh,
I'm always
sorry.
been in a position where where um where I you need to just go into the actual thing itself in terms of the alarm.
Yeah, I tried to turn off
Yeah.
the actual phone.
So
Sorry,
right, folks.
sorry.
So it is. Yeah. So that's the key of this situation. That is what I tend to do. But anyway, I said to myself, well, no, I'm not going to let this hinder my view,
Mm,
stop me from moving where I need to move towards, and it didn't. And I'm so glad
it
it
didn't.
didn't.
What the point I was trying to make is that although you said it was a personal thing for you, but
Mm.
my point is this: it didn't stop you from investigating and exploring deeper. That's my
Yeah,
point.
yeah, yeah,
Because that in itself could have
yeah, and it did stun a lot
yeah,
of people.
yeah, yeah,
But for
yeah.
me, because of my inquiring mind, I decided I want to know more.
Mm,
I just want to know more.
mm,
And I suddenly realized that for me, in my perspective, that people who were stuck in that religious um, MO were in their world happy,
yeah,
in their world caught up in a situation that makes them feel safe,
mm.
but they're allowed to hold on to
Yeah,
their prejudices,
yeah, yeah,
dislikes,
yeah,
fears,
yeah, yeah.
insecurities,
Crazy,
and
isn't it?
so on. That they could hold on to it
Yeah.
without it ever being
Just
questioned,
doing that now is crazy, isn't it? Really? Yeah.
you know? And that's no good.
Mm.
That's no good. And that's not everybody,
Yeah.
I
No. No.
must
No.
say.
No.
It's
Yeah.
not everybody.
Yeah.
It allows people to do that,
Yeah. Yeah.
but not everybody in that. You see? Not everybody in that. That's the key. That's the key. Um, and I think we're moving into interesting times, very interesting times, very, very interesting times. So yes, I mean, I know that there are some churches who donate lots of charity and this and that and whatever it is, but in terms of actively, um, what should churches do? What should mosques do? What should singles do? Should they be fighting for inclusion, sisterhood, brotherhood, everything? Should they be fighting for that? Yeah, they should be fighting for a better world, but you don't see it, do you?
Mm.
You just don't see it. You don't see it. I mean, I know they do a lot of good in terms of, for
Yeah.
example, with the homeless people, this or
Mm.
food banks or whatever it is. Yes, I know that. But in terms of footing for change, you don't see it. It's a lot of people involved. My point is,
Yeah.
a lot of people, and that should have a huge impact, but it doesn't. It doesn't have a huge impact. But it's interesting. Interesting. But anyway, I don't want to knock there, but which we have to
Yeah.
tie it up now.
Mm.
But it's an interesting point, and I'm sure if you are down that road, you probably would challenge a lot what I'm saying, which is fair enough, be interesting. Or if you do agree or think that, well, yeah, you're in the same position, yeah, put it in the comments and so on. It'd be interesting to see what you're saying. But it's just a food for thought. It's just something to think about in terms of where we are right now and how
Yeah. Yeah.
things seem to be in this
Mm,
world where there's so much confusion,
confusion.
so much problems. People are moving towards that a bit more now. But is it the answer? I think not. It's not the
Mm,
answer at all. It's really understanding what we see in front of us, and how we're all manipulated, um, whether by governments, institutions, or whatever it is, to think or believe things in a certain way.
way.
And maybe we should investigate ourselves more, get to know ourselves a bit
Mm,
better, and challenge our prejudices,
mm.
our concerns, our worries, and all the things that we project on other people in our lives. And we do that, be useful.
Be more
Anyway,
honest. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But that's all I'm going to say right now. But it's been great to have you here. And listen, you take care, guys, and please like, share, and subscribe. As always, help the channel build. Thank you very much for your help. Cheers. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.